Here's a quick demo on how to solve some algebra using something called Graspable math. So here's an equation: 3x equals 15. We know in order to isolate for x, we need to divide both sides by 3. There's two ways where we can do this. The first is by clicking and long hold on to the equal sign until this comes up. This E represents our equation, and we can do any operation to the entire equation. In this case, we have to divide by 3, so we can either push divide by 3 or do the same thing on our keyboard. Push done, and you'll see that that math actually happens. Then in Graspable Math, anytime you want to do an operation, you need to actually click on that operation. So for example, this is a 3x divided by 3. So if I want to divide, I'm going to click on the divide, and you see it divides. And similarly, 15 divided by 3 is 5. And we get that the answer is 5. Now that's great, but I'd love to see all those steps that happened. So if you highlight just to the right of the answer, you'll see these multiple circles. If you click and hold it and drag down, you can see all of the steps. Now, once that I've done that once, if I undo and go back to my question, you'll see now that if I click and hold and push divide by 3 and push done, the steps will appear automatically. So once you reveal, any other time you do it, the steps will appear automatically. So there I am dividing both sides by 3. So I'm going to divide here and get that my answer is x equals 5. I can verify 3 times 5 is 15. Now, there's another way to do this with Graspable math. So I'm going to take this equation and copy it. So since it's my beginning, I can go and drag it to a new spot and redo this question down here. So another way that you can imagine it is dividing by 3. The inverse operation is, 3 times x. The inverse operation is dividing by 3 on this side. So I can actually take this and grab it and move it over here to divide by 3. And then when I double click on our answer, we'll get x equals 5. When you get more comfortable with algebra, this is probably more likely the step you'll do. Let's try it with this example. So 2x minus 8 plus 14. So my first step, I can't divide by 2 yet. I have to isolate the 2 by itself. So I have to do the inverse operation on minus 8, which would be to add 8. So again, I'm going to click and hold my equal sign until the thing pops up. And I'm now going to go plus 8 to both sides. It's the opposite operation. Now you'll notice the way that Graspable math does it is it adds the 8 right in that equation, which is great. I like to put the 8 underneath, but it doesn't do it in that fashion this way. But that's fine. We can still imagine that plus 8 underneath or the plus 8 underneath there. Regardless, we have that step. Again, if I drag this, I can see the steps happening. And now the rest of the steps will happen automatically. Now, perform the operation. Remember, I'm going to actually push the button or push the operation to do the operation here. So minus 8 plus 8, if I click on the plus, we would get that step. I'm just going to undo and show something. You see how if I click on this, nothing happens because can I subtract these? Well, no, they're unlike terms. All right, so I'm going to go back and do that operation. Over here, for 14 plus 8, I click on the plus and it adds that to 22. And then I learned over here I can divide both sides by 2. So I can either do that by, again, clicking and holding and going divide by 2. And then it'll show that step. Do the division over here and the division over here, and I get my answer. Now, you might want to use the quicker versions. So again, I just copied it over here and say, well, if I'm going to add 8 to both sides, it's like I'm moving this to the other side and performing the opposite operation. So let's do it that way. So I'm going to move it over here, plus 8, and you see that step. Let's do the addition to see that it's 22. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to get, and then actually do the operation to get that the answer is 11. And again, I can confirm that by taking 11 and substituting it in here. 11 times 2 is 22, minus 8 is 14. If you want to see something really neat, we can ask Graspable math to do that substitution. So I've recreated this, taken this equation, and I'm going to take x equals 11 and actually take that and substitute it in to my operation. And watch, if I actually do this, that operation, the dot means times. So 2 times 11 is 22. 22 minus 8 is 14. And it confirms that my answer is correct. Let's try another one. So here we are, 3x plus 4 minus 3 equals 2x minus 3. This time I've got variables on both sides of the equal sign, so I need to put the variable on either side. So let's do that by trying to move things. Well, first, the 4x, I'm going to move all my numbers on this side and letters on that side. So I'm going to move this 4x over here. And I'm going to reveal so I can see that step. Do the subtraction, and I get minus 3. Minus 4 is getting colder, so I'm at minus 7. Now I need to move the 2x to this side. This is where it becomes a little bit tricky, because if I try and grab it, it might just think I'm dividing by the 2 or the x. So to get both of them, you're going to use the shift key on your button. So I have my mouse over the 2, and I'm going to click on that, and then push shift. You see it's blue. And I'm going to then click on the x. My finger is on the shift button. Now I have 2x. And now the whole thing will move over. Subtracting 2x from both sides, 3x minus 2x is 1x. And I get x. You see how it just went to just x? We know the answer is 1x, and if you expand it, you can see that. But I'm happy, oops, undo. I'm happy with it just saying that. And x equals negative 7. So I'd like you to try a couple of other questions on your own, and you'll see them located on the left. And good luck with solving using Graspable math.